Good morning and welcome to Morning Coffee with Brigid. I'm Brigid Burke and it is the 27th of November. It is the day before Thanksgiving Day here in the USA. And I have quite a busy day today. And good morning, Alex. It's a really beautiful morning here. If you look at my feed, I did post a photo this morning of the sunrise this morning. It was just, with the clouds, it was very, very colorful. And it just had a really nice feel to it this morning. It definitely, and Sam, hello. Good morning, afternoon. Welcome. Good to see you. And yeah, we'll see who joins us this morning. So I'll probably slowly work my way through things as I have my coffee here. I have to go to Manhattan today, so I'll be meeting up with a friend who is, she's a patron actually on my Patreon, and she's also somebody who I'm helping edit a really great sci-fi kind of speculative novel that she's done, and while that's not totally my genre, good morning, Suda. While that's not totally my genre, it's something about, it has to do with the Earth Mother, and it has to do with different elements of mythology that she's trying to put in. So she asked me if I would be the one to read it. She joined my Patreon. She says, "Can you read this for me? Can you tell me?" So, and she's actually somebody. She's got a degree in film. She's a filmmaker from Austria, and she might want to join in with the ISFM next term as well. So we're going to chat about all that stuff today in Manhattan. So that will be I think she lives in Brooklyn, but we're going to meet up there. And so, so I had a very strange thing happen yesterday. So everybody knows, now Sam and I had a conversation yesterday morning, sorry, not this morning. Yeah, there you go, so the time being screwed up, right? Yesterday morning we had a conversation about, I was just talking to her about, because I know that Sam's in the UK and she's from here, so I'm like, okay, just kind of talking a little bit about the process and about that. And Sam, by the way, if you didn't get my email, I did send you a reply. I wanted to do a little research before I replied to you. But yeah, very, very helpful conversation, incredibly helpful. And so I kind of did that. And then the other thing that I had done was I went down to our town hall, because I think I've been talking about renting a dumpster right now, thinking, I'll reply back before the day ends. Awesome. Yeah, no worries. There's no rush. So it was, what was I going to say? It was kind of, okay. So I went to the town hall and I went and talked to the clerk who was she's not been in, it's been hard to get her this week, between Thanksgiving holiday coming up and last week, I guess they were at some conference. And so it turns out, when I rented a dumpster last, it was $30. Now, mind you, that was 2005, so, that was a long time ago. But the price is now $225. So it went up significantly. I was like, whoa, I didn't know it was going to be that much. However, I have been told that if I was to do it privately, it would probably be more like $750. So I was like, okay, well, we're going to go with $225. And I was thinking is that going to leave me with enough to pay the mortgage? I was like, screw it, we're doing it. Okay. So I did this, and I got a call yesterday afternoon. Oh wow, that's an increase. Yeah, you're not kidding. And so, I guess to be fair, it has been almost 20 years, but still, I might have thought it might be $100, $50, $100, but $225. I was like, all right, well, whatever. And I did get a call from the head of DPW. He said he'll drop it off today. Before I go. I'm not going to the city until lunchtime, but he said he would drop it off today. So, so this is a big commitment towards emptying the house out, right? And it's an expensive commitment. So, last night some things happened. I got some phone calls. There were some things that went on. Basically, though, the net of it, I don't want to get into it because some of them are conversations that are private conversations with people and stuff that I don't think they would want shared. But the net result is I feel like there was a timeline jump. Okay. And I had weird dreams last night about the number 8. Okay. Particularly 8s in the tarot. And of course, particularly the 8 of Swords, because I felt like the 8 of Swords was kind of, situations where people get themselves tangled up in thought. Okay. Where they're getting themselves stuck in a certain place, because of, the way that they're thinking about something. And and again, and that, I mean, that doesn't just apply necessarily to certain people. It could also apply to me as well. You know, there's ways in which we mentally box ourselves in and say, oh, well, this is the only way to do something. So we kind of open things up. But there was just a very odd feeling last night. I was supposed to go through some messages from some other friends and stuff, and I just didn't end up doing it. In fact, I ended up watching this weird alternate reality kind of series. It's this guy who's a photographer. I think he's called, I think it's called Borneo Park. You can find it on YouTube. And this is a really fascinating kind of analog, well, it's not really analog horror. There is a little bit of analog element, but it's kind of like, and you know, it's better than most of alternate reality games out there on the internet. I mean, White Stag Education is one I really like, and most of the other ones are just like, oh, there's an emergency broadcast, stay inside your house. It's like they're all pretty much the same, and when they try to do analog, they do it wrong. Like they had one that was supposedly from like 1995, and people were talking to each other on smartphones. I'm like, yeah, no, that nobody had a smartphone in 1995. I promise you. Never mind a cell phone. It was, so anyway, this one's really interesting because this guy, turns out, I happen to look him up, he was a photographer, and he lives in his van, and he basically goes around doing all these really cool natural shots, and he has a lot of religious themes in his stuff, but it's not religion, it's more gothic in the way that it kind of approaches it. And this ARG is really turning out to be kind of a fascinating one it starts with this, there's this little reference to a CIA document that's about, are there 3 universes? Okay, so it was an interesting thing. And for some reason, good morning, Melissa. And so for some reason, I got very tangled up in that last night. But I don't know. But nonetheless, definitely got this message that there was a timeline shift this morning. Now, I looked up the 8s, and give me a moment here. I have this book called the Tarot Life Planner, and by the way, it's not as great of a book as it sounds. Okay, but it does have some interesting information. I don't agree with all of the interpretations of the cards, and also, I mean, they've got some good ideas for spreads and things, but I don't know. There's just like what they say about careers, like what cards represent what careers and stuff. I'm like, I don't know about that one, but that's, I don't know, never a good thing. So anyway, 8s, because I was dreaming about 8s last night. The energy of the 8 has twice the solidity of a 4-sided square, and three orders of magnitude of the balance of a pair. The 8 of tarot is so solid and stable that many mistake it for an end or the completion of a process. The figure of 8 on its side is the symbol for infinity. It's the Leminskit, right? Which is the greatest of all things. Look at the 8s as a plateau on the journey rather than an ultimate peak, even if it appears whole and complete. It signifies you have reached and realized the possibilities extended by the 7s. Okay, so I just thought that was an interesting explanation because I hadn't really thought about that because it's double the 4, right? And if we think of the 4s, they're all about, and that's kind of the thing there. You've got 4 sides. So it's something that's very solid. And if we know all the 4s have to do with kind of staying in place. So it's like the 8 is double the 4. It's like, okay, you've had another set of challenges and now you're kind of in this next place. It's like you were here, now you've moved here. And what's interesting though, and so we face new challenges as we are moving through the 9s and the 10s, towards completion, but we're much closer to completion than we were before. So I thought that was kind of an interesting idea about, and I don't feel like this is just a dream. The reason I mention it is because I just don't feel like it's something that just pertains to me. I feel like it pertains to other people as well. I feel like we're all kind of in this 8 space. Well, we'll see what comes out in the cards today. It'll be very interesting. But I pulled another card this morning too from our little Between Worlds Oracle, and the card I got was Resolve. Okay, and this card means, and I'll read it to you. Don't let them tell you all is lost. It's not. This card is about vision and the power of radical imagination. In what might feel like a difficult situation, it's your job to hold on to what's still possible. Can you cultivate hope, then commit to action? Get good on your values, then make a plan. Make time and make it happen. And Alex is saying, you're right about that. I had a very odd day yesterday. I felt like it was back to feelings from 4 years ago. And it's funny that it's 4 years ago, right? Needing to be purged. Yeah, or purged or integrated, right? It's, there's this resolve to do something. Okay, so what do I think this has to do with, at least in what happened with me yesterday. It seems like literally committing to spending that money, you know what I mean? Like the Four of Pentacles is where we want to hang on to what we have. Just saying, all right, you know what? This is worth it. This is a goal I'm going for, and I'm going to spend this money, even though I probably really should not at this time of year, to do this. And it was like that shifted something, because Azrael was I did the messages with him this morning, and he said something about your creation has shifted something. And I said, and he actually, I think, used the word resolve as well, which was weird. And I said, okay, well, like, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean by I don't know what you're talking about. Like, integrated. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, like this may be stuff that you're transmuting and we're talking about recycling, right? Finding another use for it, repurposing it. And so I said to him, I said, well, what do you mean by my creation? And he said, this is the beginning of your journey east. Okay. So in other words, okay, we talk about Neptunian kind of stuff, right? And one of the elements of Neptune is sacrifice. We don't talk about that one as much. It is written on the astrology card. That is the key word. But what it says is that when we have a dream or an idea, what do you do to commit it to action? What do you do to, what steps are you taking? If I say, oh yeah, I'm totally going to do this. Once you actually make the sacrifice and make the outlay, then it's like, okay, then now the universe is paying attention, and they literally said it shifted timelines. Because stuff happened last night that I was just like, wait a minute. And there were some timeline shifts that did not initially appear to be positive, but they said no, they're not for me, by the way. But basically the message I got was no, those only are apparently negative right now. It's really the idea that somebody was going into another bad situation that they were being taken out of. Okay. And Alex says, I just got chills. Yeah, it was weird. I felt, but Azrael, again, his usual, Uchim, frown not. Don't be sad about this. I'm like, well, I'm not sad about it. It's weird. I just feel weird. But whatever, I don't know, whatever I did last night, I did that, plus I did 2 or 3 other things. And it was like, okay, now you're, it's like, it's almost like the universe is saying, show me the money, right? Okay, you want this? Show me the money, literally. And so when I did that, it was just like, okay, now we're on this track. And again, how that's going to go, I don't know, but its impact on other people, I think, is it's kind of like the butterfly effect. A butterfly lands on a flower in like Iowa or something, and it causes like a monsoon in Taiwan or something. I mean, it's like one of those things where everything that we do touches everything else. So as soon as there's like a commitment to a certain type of change, and especially if it's a very appropriate type of change, and we kind of take that step towards that North Node, Sam says, we went out last night to eat. We never do that. And I said the same thing to Neil. A shift happened. Yeah. No, and you felt it too. Yeah, Sam and I are on the same wavelength with a lot of things. Actually, there's a number of us here who are on the same wavelength with a lot of things. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, but we were talking about that a bit yesterday. And there's a shift happening. Something is different now. And it's almost like, and I think because I kept seeing a lot of this Aries Mars energy, like you need to take an action, you need to take an action, you need to take an action. So the reason I mention this here, because again, this is not meant to be just like, all about Brigid's personal life. It's like, this is something that I think we've been talking about, these influences, and things have been showing up in the cards all week for everybody about, okay, you have a chance to go for your dreams now. Now, what steps are you taking? And any kind of step that you take, it's almost like it has the effect of being able to shift you over. And I don't know. So I don't know. I can only guess that my timeline shift is affecting other people's, because there's a lot of people, maybe we're all tied up together in the same timeline. But Azrael said, don't worry about it. He says, because it's all a good timeline shift. It's all going to, something that was on kind of an uncertain track now seems like it's going to be on a more clear one for people. But again, things are still unfolding. And so, yeah, I just thought that was really very interesting. I mean, obviously there's things that when you commit to saying, okay, I'm ready to let this stuff go, and when you actually say, okay, I'm letting the thing go. That's the power of letting go, right? And that's actually another 8 card. That's the 8 of Cups, right? That's saying, okay, this is something I've had for a long time, and I'm willing to let it go, because I need to move towards what's next for me. And so, yeah, that was just really strange last night. But but I definitely felt this shift that went on. And what that's going to mean for other things, I don't know. Because again, whenever shifts like this happen, remember they're universal shifts. So if I'm like this little wave in the ocean, it's not so much about, oh, you little wave caused this big shift in the universe or the universe. It's more like in response to whatever I did, the big shift happened. It's kind of almost responding to a certain, it's kind of like if a current just happens to go a certain way, or like with storms, they, depending on certain factors, they may go this way or this way, right? It's like, and it may just be a very minor thing that can shift it, but definitely feels like there was a shift. Fractal progressions. Yeah, exactly. Right. And so, I don't know. But I mean, whether this is something I would have done anyway, who knows, right? But we all have choices, right? And crossroads have been coming up a lot too, right? We've all been at this kind of crossroads, at this place of which way do I go? What's next? So it'll be interesting to see if that causes some kind of a ripple effect. Like it seems like that to the universe. In my mind, I could have said, yes, I've made this decision. Certainly feeling the same way as what Alex is saying. Yeah, it's definitely. I almost feel like it's like, okay, from the perspective of the universe, it's like, okay, you can make a decision in your head. You can say, right, I'm thinking about doing this thing. But until you actually do something that shows you're committed to it, the universe is like, yeah, it's still just a thought in your head, right? It's still just kind of this thing that's floating in the clouds. And so there's the idea of bringing it down to earth and manifesting it. So anyway, it was very strange. And what effect it's going to prove to have on on the environment, I don't know. Because like I said, when you're talking about change that goes with where the universe wants you to go, because remember, this is nodal stuff. Alex, Sam was saying, Alex, your reading was like Alex is shifting 2 whole timelines. Yeah, and it's funny. And actually, I know you're talking to Alex specifically there, but I feel like there has been at least 2 timeline shifts that have been going on. And I don't know, maybe Alex, maybe you're going to have even another one. And maybe it'll be based on your actions. I don't know, but it's just, yeah, it's interesting. And Melissa says, I'm fascinated with multiverses, timeline jumping in multiple dimensions. And yeah, it is a fascinating subject, isn't it? And it's, I mean, I was watching something today where somebody was saying, oh, has the multiverse theory been disproven? But I'm like, I'm not sure. I haven't watched it to see what this woman is talking about. But the way she phrased it, though, I'm getting the impression that no, it hasn't been. But that's certainly what Azrael has told me about the way the soul is experienced, is that it's experienced in it's like a quantum existence. There's a lot of different possibilities for existence, and we can shift into one or the other. By actions that we take consciously or unconsciously, but that said, I mean, I think part of the reason I was getting a lot of this 8, especially seeing 8 of Swords energy, it's like we sometimes think the mind can control more than it can control. Like the idea that I can just will it to happen and it's going to happen. And really the thought is just, the thought isn't enough, really. I mean, the thought has to be followed by an action. I suppose I heard about that in certain witchcraft things where they would say, oh, okay, well, if you're going to cast a spell to win the lottery, you have to actually go out and buy a lottery ticket, right? You can't just say, oh yeah, I'm going to win the lottery, but I don't plan to buy a ticket ever. Hopefully I'll find one on the road. Yeah, you have to, there's something you have to do to make it happen. So now, okay, the thing about that is sometimes we don't always know right off the bat what to do. We think we have to do something, and then we kind of do the running around, like the Knight of Swords energy, running around, the mind's running around. Okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But it's almost like we have to kind of step back and say, okay, wait, calm down, find our center here, and see what, get into our center and see where we are, what direction we're being told to go from there. Because I remember yesterday I was seeing a whole lot of cards around morality and stuckness and clinging to the past and stuff like that, with an outcome being a guidance card. Guidance. You're going to be guided into the right direction. And so interesting kind of start to the day, talking about these timeline shifts, but yeah, I do feel like this was something I needed to mention here, because I think this is not, I don't think it's just about me. When you're talking about something with the force of the universe behind it, it's never about one person. And it's not that I have some great power to move the universe, because I don't. It's just that I happen to say, okay, I made a decision on something and I made the sacrifice for it, and for some reason that has a ripple effect across other things. So if other people are doing things, that may also have a ripple effect. That will have a ripple effect across other things as well. Whether it causes a shift or not, maybe depending on what decision you make, like where it is that you want to be. So, I guess from a totally objective analytical standpoint, I'm not going to pretend that I fully understand how all of this works, and I don't think we ever really will, because I feel like it's something that is, it's just something that's beyond thought. I have been going back to practicing my I am meditation every day. I've been making, unless I have like a really violent headache, I've been making time for it every day. And that also seems to be helping, because after I do that meditation, it's like I can be in a space where, I don't know, things just flow. Part of the mysteries, maybe. Well, it's funny, the word mystery comes up a lot. The word mystery is chicle in the Enochian, or the angelic language. And Azrael is bringing up that word a lot. He's like, you have to trust in the mysteries. You have to trust in the mysteries, because there's more here than just what you see in front of you. And that's been repeated over and over and over again. Like stop sitting here and fretting over what you see in front of you. There's the mystery. You have to trust in the mystery. I'm telling you to trust in the mystery. Stop. Was it? Or he'll use the phrase like Afa, like be obedient to the mysteries, right? The word Afa. So it's kind of interesting. I was going to pull a few other cards today. I have another deck actually that I picked up when I was working at the Rock Box, and it's called the Elemental Tarot, and this one's quite interesting. The imagery on it, and I have it. It's in a box. So when the stuff I have up here in the boxes, I tend to grab the decks that are not in boxes most of the time, because then it's like I've got to unbox it. Probably when I move, what I'm going to have to do is just like get rid of a lot. I mean, you hate to get rid of the nice packaging, but I may get rid of a lot of the boxes and just take the cards, because maybe the booklets, because I just don't. That's what actually I do when I travel. Is I will, if I know I'm going to be doing readings while I'm abroad, I will just take the cards, like put like a hair tie around them or something, and throw them in my bag rather than bringing the big box with everything. So. Maybe doing a lot of that. So let's see. Okay, I want to pull some of these, because I want to just see what kind of message comes up with these this morning for us. This is more generally, not just about me and my situation, but I thought it was also kind of a good example of how, when we make a real commitment to something, how the universe can respond to us. I love elementals. Brigid, you're speaking my language today. Yeah, well, maybe, you know what? Maybe I'll bring these for our reading sessions, because as Melissa and I are probably going to say every day through December 1st, we're doing the readings on Sunday. She's going to be doing aura photos. I'm going to be doing readings in Chester, New Jersey. So, yes. So So I will probably bring these cards. Wow. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we're starting here with sometimes the imagery is a little hard to figure out here. But we have a Knight of Swords here. Okay, sorry, Knight of Wands. Knight of Wands. That's weird. I'm looking at two other swords cards. That's why I'm saying swords. Knight of Wands. Okay, so we have active masculine energy. We kind of have this fire, right? This upright triangle. And so Knight of Wands is getting ready. Well, for some people, it can be literally getting ready to move. But generally speaking, Knight of Wands is about, okay, I'm on my horse and I'm ready to go. Knight of Wands typically is Knight of Wands, Knight of Swords are both cards that are, when you look at them in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the knights are moving. Knight of Pentacles, he's just sitting there on his horse, so moving a lot slower, right? This is more about more rapid movement. The only thing you have to worry about with the knights is that you don't move too fast. But we have this with the Two of Swords, okay? And the Two of Swords is, again, that place of indecision, that place of impasse, okay? Getting ready to move, and this movement is requiring a decision, okay? And our outcome here is actually the Ten of Swords, okay? Now, this is because something in choosing one thing, another thing has definitively come to an end. And that's another aspect of change, is that when we go to change something, something ends. Now, a lot of people associate Ten of Swords with like betrayal and being stabbed in the back and so forth. I don't really get the sense of that here. I've always looked at the Ten of Swords as a card of relief. It's a card of like, okay, this thing that has just been like coming around. It's like the fly in your room that you finally hit it with the fly swatter. It's like, okay, we're done with this now. it's over, right? There's a sense of relief that comes when a burden we've been carrying can finally come to an end. So we'll find out a little bit more about this Ten of Swords, though. Let's see what's coming to an end for us here. Oh, God. And we've got the Tower. That was what was interesting about that ARG I was watching last night, is that there was a lot of images of towers in almost all of them. And literally, I think it was, what is it called? What is the channel called? Night something. I can't remember. I want to say Night. It's NM. I mean, it could be like Nightmare, but I think it might be something else. But anyway, they do these analyses of these ARGs, and they mention the Tower card. They're like, there's this Tower card, right? There's this Tower. But again, it's about pulling down false structures. It's about pulling down false structures. And I've been seeing that. I mean, literally all week. When I've been pulling runes in the morning, because usually I communicate with Maka through the runes, because that's more her language. At least the Om is more of her language, but this is the closest thing I have to it. So using that, or as Joanne says, boom chakalaka. That's right. We have to say that for Joanne because she's not on this morning. I know she's been sleeping in late. She kind of will text me afterwards usually, and I know she's getting ready for a huge Thanksgiving thing. So so she's probably going to be busy. So there's our Four of Cups is the next card that we're pulling here. So Four of Cups has to do with the way in which if we've not been looking at the opportunity, it's just kind of like, okay, now our head's going to be turned and we're going to see it, right? Those other three cups, you're going to knock them over and it's be like, no, forget about those. Look at this one over here. There's something that's definitely come to an end. Like when there's a choice that's been made here. And again, this is something that is kind of unfolding. It's something that we're getting ready to see. What else do we have here? Death card. Okay, so we've got ending again here. All right. Followed by the Six of Swords. Now, this may be personal because this is literally about moving over water. But Six of Swords also, more generally speaking, is about moving away from anxiety, moving away from a space where we are anxious, and Three of Pentacles, where we are collaborating with others. And Alex is saying, okay, I think a part of this shift and choice for me was taking my work off Instagram. I just thought of that. Right, so you made a commitment, and actually you might end up doing something different with your work, potentially. So maybe that's also kind of like, okay, I'm committing to doing something else with this work, and not letting other people use that work too. So, that's a very good point. That might be what that is. But Three of Pentacles is also about collaborating with others too. So I think that's an element. I was actually thinking yesterday about an idea, kept coming into my head that Joanne actually had. So I'm going to give credit where credit was due because it's Joanne's idea. We had talked about all of us here who are practitioners of some sort. Like Joanne is, she's a licensed therapist, but she also does readings and stuff, or I don't know if she's totally got her license yet, but I know she definitely has the clinical psych degree and can diagnose. I know, Sam, you do a lot with the phytonutrients and things like that. And then, of course, I have my own coaching stuff. And then, like, Jenny, when she's on, Jenny is, like, an Akashic Records reader and stuff. So I thought, there might be, like, getting together and having, like, a site, like a referral site, like where, you start with one person and you can, there's like a almost like a ring or a circle of people who can support women and women's issues and things like that. I mean, it doesn't have to just be women, but frequently that's who it is. So just having something of people that can go to. Yeah, that's a great idea. I think so too. I was just trying to think about it yesterday. I'm like, okay, well, creating a whole new website, it's like, God, I've already got like 3 websites. And Sam said, yes, I said this to Neil, a co-op or some sort. I told Alex I saw this in the future. There you go. And yeah, I'm hearing it in my head like, yeah, this is something. Of course, we're during retrograde right now, so probably not the best time to start it, but definitely an idea that we want to play with. And obviously, I want to talk. So the people here who are doing these kinds of services, this also we can launch it and market it. And Melissa too, like you're doing certain kinds of work too. Where we can kind of all have this community that can be online, and maybe for some of it can be local too. I've also said I've been dreaming of some sort of call. Yeah, exactly. And actually, Melissa, given how far you live from, oh wow, yeah, can confirm Sam was talking about this months ago. Yeah, so I'm feeling that idea too. So I'm feeling like this group, we might come together and be able to, because some people are focused on different things. I love that. Yeah, and so, right, so then it could be, like some people, whatever it is that people are doing, or even if Melissa, even if you end up, because I know you do a lot of stuff in person with people, if we're doing something that's virtual, then there's still ways that you can offer certain of your services virtually. I don't know. We have to try to figure out how that would fit in. But we could also just say, people who are local to this particular area, because in that way I could say, okay, I can promote people in certain businesses, people like Melissa, people like Corinna. Melissa says, I want to open up a center. That would be really cool. That would be awesome. And because then that way you can have a place where people can work in person. And I'm thinking the referral thing is where we can go virtually, because like Sam's in the UK and Joanne's up in New Hampshire, so we've got people in different places. But I know Jenny's also here in New Jersey, and who else is on here usually? Melissa, of course. There's you, and then I'm trying to think who else there is. But anyway, there's a lot of people here who would get together, and I think a lot of us end up working a lot with women and focusing on women's issues. So I'm thinking that might be a good kind of central theme to it. Because frequently women, especially with women's health issues, women's mental health, things that people go through, the generic or general resources may not be the best ones or the right ones. So I think, like a group of people who have been working together, and of course we understand these things, I think especially now that's needed more than ever at a time when there just seems to be even less understanding of the kinds of transformations that women go through in particular. So I don't know. It's just floating the idea right now, whether that's where it lands and in the end, I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely an idea that Joanne had first. Well, at least in my conversation, it sounds like Sam, you had the same idea as well. And Melissa, you definitely want to open up a center. So I don't know. It could be one of those things where we all kind of participate. Like I said, there could be an option like, okay, if you're in this state, you can go in person and do this. If you want to do virtual only, these are your options too. Like we could do that. And Sam says, me too. That's a combo Neil and I were having. Ugh, I love that. Exciting new possibilities. Right, exactly. And also, I've been also trying to do things like I'm just thinking about a lot of people with the ISFM, and of course, Alex, I know you do writing and so forth, and so do I. Like also maybe trying to create a space where people can, again, kind of get exposed to people's writings. That's why I have Catonia Books, but that there might also be some other kind of venue. I don't know whether it's a workshopping venue or whether it's just a kind of virtual, I don't know, it's something else where people can. Possibilities are endless. Right, so I've got a lot of these possibilities right now, but I am recognizing that Mercury's retrograde and Mars is about to go retrograde. So I'm like, okay, right now this is a good thing to write down, think about, and then see where we go. So we've got this collaboration energy here. And then we've got it with the World and the Chariot. So, yeah. I mean, for my purposes, I'm like, yeah, I've never seen more cards that are like, get out of here, you're going away. But This is about bringing an old cycle to a successful conclusion and being able to move ahead. And these are majors, okay? So this is not minor arcana stuff. These are majors. So, yeah, so I think this is good. I think there's a lot of possibilities here. And because I just think we've been talking about community and the way in which everybody can kind of support each other and what people here are authentically trying to do. So I think if we're all in that space, then I think there's a good to have a space where we all do that with each other. So yeah, interesting, right? Let's do our regular Zen deck reading today. Start with that. And I'm gonna have my coffee before it gets too cold. We're moving out of pumpkin spice season, so I have ordered some mocha mint coffee, which is my winter blend. That will be one thing I miss in the UK, is that things like pumpkin spice coffee don't really exist there. Yum. Yeah, it is yummy. Well, of course, I guess, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a fan of Jeff Bezos, but there is Amazon, I guess, where if I wanted to order that stuff and have it sent there, I probably could. So, okay, so let's see. Well, now come to think of it, when I was in Totnes, I remember I had a really, really yummy, like, mint coffee that I had, like, they made, and no, it was like a mint hot chocolate, that's what it was. It was really good. There's one little coffee shop in Totnes when I was out living in Devon. Okay. Yeah, okay. So I will ship any coffee that you want from the USA. Thank you, Melissa. That's very sweet of you. It's, yeah, well, okay. Yeah, that's just it. There's there might be certain things, yeah, see how we can, how I can still get them, because, I don't know. There's a few things that I would miss about the USA being in the UK, but not too many. But that might be one of them. But there's a workaround for that. The only other thing I miss is the beautiful autumns that we have here. I mean, it's not that you can't have beautiful autumns in the UK. There are, but it's a little different, and the timetable of it's a little different. Like you're really starting. Like now, probably the leaves are really starting to change. It's pretty stormy there now, actually, from what I've been told. But yeah. The climate's a little more temperate, so yeah, you do have winter, but it's, I don't know, it's a little bit different in how that works. Anyway, we're talking about flowering here, right? Queen of Pentacles. Flowering. How are we flowering? How are we coming into our own? How are we allowing ourselves to blossom and be understood? And the inner feeling, of which we maybe are not fully conscious, is the Ace of Cups, going with the flow. But also, this is new ideas. These are new ideas that are close to the heart. That was kind of one thing I've said. I think I've been saying it, and I'm not. But lately, I'm having a hard time distinguishing between what I remember from a dream and the conversations I've had with people. But there definitely seems to be this idea that the heart space is extremely important right now. When we talk about moving into the feminine, we're moving into the heart space. So, and the heart space is where that comes through, where it's about sharing with others. It's about trying to heal others. It's about love for others. And recognizing that there's a lot of people in this world that, if we're going to be real, that we don't love. We're just kind of like, like there's people that we don't care for. But it's not so much about individuals that we don't care for. It's more about how do we heal the bigger system? How do we work with this, and understanding that there's always going to be conflicts and people who don't like what we do and so forth. But this is kind of moving from the heart space, but it's an ace. So we're kind of at the beginning of this. The external feeling of which we are aware is the Seven of Cups. And this is the card of projections. And it's funny that I'm saying that, because I think sometimes when we really intensely dislike somebody, sometimes that's a projection of something that we're trying to heal, right? But I actually think the Seven of Cups here may be more about taking what's might be considered fantasy and making it real, right? So I think that's that. I think that's more the energy of this card. What's real and what's not real. How do we distinguish, and what makes that? Okay, so this is actually the Moon card. Okay, it's called Past Lives here. So this is about ending of patterns. Okay, or recognize this is the idea that we are letting go of patterns that have maybe they're part of our soul, like they're part of. Maybe something that we've repeated, and maybe now that has come to an end. But with the Moon, again, there's that feminine knowing, there's intuitive knowing. Most of this, you've got this Queen of Pentacles in the middle, right? So you've got this, actually it's all feminine energy in this one. You've got water on both sides, and then you've got this Moon energy. and our outcome is the Empress, okay? Creativity. So you've got this kind of Taurian energy between this and the Queen of Pentacles that anchors our ideas and our flow. So I think that is what the thing is here, the creativity, that we are able to manifest whatever it is that we want to do. If we're at a stage in life where we're moving towards sharing our treasure with others, when you look at traditional hero mythology, and I realize that a lot of that is very masculine, but the idea is that, you know, you start from your family, you become an individual, then you may start your own family, and if you don't, then you still, there's something that you do. You go out and you find your place in society, right? You, whatever job you're going to do, or whatever career you're going to do, or if you're going to get married and have children, or whatever you're going to do. And then you reach a certain age where you say, okay, this is not just about me being in that social approval and role. Now it's about what is authentic to me. Because a lot of times, you know, people may spend years in jobs where they say like, oh, you know what? This is not really who I am. This is not where it's at. This isn't satisfying. I mean, I'm not saying it's not. Sometimes people are perfectly satisfied with their jobs. But if something isn't right about it, then generally we get some kind of a sign that this is not where we belong anymore. And then but then it's kind of like, okay, it's not challenging us to just go and do the same thing. It's challenging us to say, okay, where's your heart at? Where's your heart at? Like, this is a point at which you've done the establishing thing. Now, where's your heart at? Now, some people are already working in the heart space, and or what they're doing is part of what they feel that way, and so you're just trying to expand on that. This is a lot of ninth house energy too. We're in Sagittarius. You know, this idea that expanding your horizons, learning new things, doing new things, maybe traveling. But yeah, there's this idea, and expanding spiritually as well. So we definitely have this idea that we are in this very highly feminine. We're talking about shifting into the feminine, and I think it's starting to become clearer what that means. Okay, where that means we're going to be going. Again, we're not necessarily seeing the whole picture, but I think it's much clearer right now. And according to what's been said, it's going to become even clearer, more clear than that. Even more clearer? No, that's terrible English. It's going to become even clearer than that. Wow. Okay. So I was just flipping at some Between Worlds cards, and I ended up with 4. So I'm going to tell you what these are. The first one is called Gestation, and it's interesting that we just had the Ace of Cups, right? The little bird here in the egg. And it says, there is something new afoot which needs careful tending and focus. Though anticipation builds, some things can't be rushed nor released prematurely. It's funny it says that. It might be a good time to hold this close to the chest, to let it marinate. The growth and unfolding are inevitable. Can you water the garden but release your expectations of exactly what and when will flower? There you go. We're in the feminine. It's not clear where this is going, but we also have to stop. We don't want to analyze what the outcome will be. You want to say, okay, let's see how this is going to, the whole don't dig up the seeds, you know, or like I said, this is a bird and an egg. You're not going to crack the egg open. As soon as you do that, then now you've got an omelet and not a bird. So yeah, it's a very different kind of a thing. The space we're moving in is compassion here. Okay. We have the compassion card. And that card means, okay, so let's read that. Love seeds and expands from within. This card asks you to inhabit the spaciousness of your body and trust the greatness of your heart. We just said, right? Can you fully participate in this world, healed, wounded, or otherwise? Are you ready to nourish your most tender parts? The heart's garden is in full bloom. The egg has hatched, is what Suta's saying. Yes. I think the egg is hatched. We've got like a little birdie or a little chick right now, right? It's still something that needs to be kind of nourished as it's growing. And of course we have this compassion. So this is again operating from the heart space. And then we have the contentment card. Okay, that's the next one. I think this is a really pretty one with the birds on the water here. And I think contentment is actually part of one of these other forces back here. I could be wrong. Let's jump back here. Let me see where it is. It's that they sometimes don't have things where I would expect to find them in this deck. Okay, yeah, okay, now I know the page. Thought it was up here. Okay, love it. Yeah, it's great, right? Contentment. Can you feel at home in yourself, in the world? This is natural wealth. For the unsatisfied mind, the object of desire will never be enough. Set yourself free. Make good with your experience of things just as they are, with yourself just as you are. Right, so there's the element of self-acceptance and also self-forgiveness. That's part of being still too. It's just like, okay, this is you, this is where you are right now. And it's not like you have to look at yourself as a teeming colony of flaws. You want to just look at yourself as you are, accept yourself as you are, in this space, and in the space of, nurturing whatever this new thing is, or nurturing your heart space. And I think that's important too, because I think one of the things that gets us when we open up and be vulnerable is other people. Well, first of all, we can be our own worst critics. We can be sitting there beating ourselves up over things. But this is about being content with who we are. That's part of it. And that, we only seem to feel like we can improve or fix ourselves. Back to Alan Watts, you cannot improve yourself, right? Being kind of content with who you are. And our last card is the Warrior, which is one of the, I want to say this is Leo energy. And this one is, let me look, I'm ahead of myself by one. That's weird. Okay. He doesn't have these in order. Because I'm looking, I'm like, wait, where's Leo? No, it's Sagittarius, actually. I'm wrong. And that makes more sense, actually, to say that it's Sagittarius. A youthful energy, warriors filled with excitement to take on the world. They're strong-willed and ready to fight hard for what they believe in. Warriors, social and generally well-respected. They can be overzealous at times and not yet attuned to boundaries. There's a lot of life to learn still, but fortunately, the warrior has no shortage of will or energy to do so. There's a sense of a great destiny to be fulfilled. Okay, that's our Knight of Wands energy, I think, is this Sagittarius energy. So, we're definitely, something has shifted. I guess we're going to summarize our discussion today. Something has definitely shifted. We have this idea of the eights where things may feel like they've completed, but there's still, a little more to be done. But the big surprise is that we're pretty much at the end of something and we're going to be moving into a new cycle. Many of us have been doing work on opening up the heart space. But it's a case of, finding that stillness, finding your ground so that you can operate from that space and not get yourself confused with what other people want you to do and the expectations of others. And that for you to be okay with who you are. I think that's a fundamental thing, being okay with who you are. All of us have the things that we look at and we go, oh, I could do this, I could do that. Like we all, and I think, like I said, I think we're more critical of ourselves than other people are of us. But sometimes it's just, we need to be able to nurture the person who we are. I think that's what we're coming to here. And so, we're at this point where we're still working at things, or, where maybe we're moving ahead fast. Like I'm thinking Eight of Wands energy, Eight of Swords, where we might get mentally stuck. Eight of Pentacles, and also, where are you an expert? Eight of Pentacles is also about what, how do people see you as the authority, right? And then finally you have the Eight of Cups, which is what is it that you've held on to that you need to walk away from? So, interesting stuff today. Interesting conversation. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving. I was trying to think whether or not I wanted to be on tomorrow. I can try to pop in, because I know I'm going to be in New York and I'm probably going to be not getting home till like midnight or something. But I'll see about getting up and doing the live stream anyway. I could be a little discombobulated tomorrow. Who knows? Or maybe I'll be right on point. I don't know. But anyway, I hope you guys all have a great Wednesday. And thanks. Have a beautiful day. You're welcome. And hopefully, we'll chat more about this stuff. And like I said, whoever can join me tomorrow, and if you can't, that's okay too. But we will, moving on. You are welcome. And I hope everybody has a great day. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care.